everyone, and welcome to another unstoppable interview with the lovely Piers Day, who will introduce himself shortly. So before we start, I just want to say that my name is Julie Fitzpatrick from Milliside Therapy and Coaching, and my passion is supporting you stressed out individuals to find your confidence really and find your inner peace and clarity so that you can become unstoppable. And I work with my clients on a one-to-one basis and in group coaching sessions too. So if you want to find out more, do come and see me. So Piers, would you like to introduce your wonderful self to everybody?
Hello, my name is Piers Day. I'm a hypnotherapist based in Suffolk. My big website is Suffolk Hypnotherapy, but most people contact me through piersday.com. I specialize in anxiety, depression, and fear, stress in the workplace, but mainly I deal with teenagers and parents, because that to me is really, if I can change people when they're younger, they haven't got the problems when they're older.
Yeah, so true. I will let you continue working with the children. I've tried working with some children, but they're just not my client. I'm too forward and too I'm like
you can keep the grown-ups, because children,
yeah, I have the grown-ups.
Teenagers are so much easier to deal with, I tell you.
No, yeah, that's a good idea. We'll exchange then. And
yeah, exactly.
And you also do smoking and vaping as well, don't you?
I do. I've years ago I was on a marketing course and they said you've got to have a catchy domain name, and I purchased icanstopyousmoking.com, which I found in one of my accounts the other day. So I'm just about to launch, and you can look it up. The website's there. It's growing as we speak, so to speak. But icanstopyousmoking.com and .co.uk. But the .com is what I'm going to be pushing, because I love how
move.
See, I used to smoke 80 a day. I used to smoke 4 packets of fags a day. Yep, I was there 6 o'clock in the morning in the park in London with my Labrador, sitting on the park bench.
What, your Labrador smoked as well?
Not quite, but yeah, likely.
I've got this picture now of you with your Labrador.
No, there are various. The amount I smoked in the car, he probably did actually.
Yeah, he probably
but that
did,
one, he did live to 14 and a half, 15. So he didn't do him any harm.
No. Yeah.
But no, I stopped smoking. Not that I can remember the date and the time, but it was 10:35 a.m., which is my last cigarette, on the 24th of February, 1992, which is probably before you were born.
I wish. nice of you to say so, but yeah.
You look so young.
Oh, bless you. Okay, so we will talk about all of that a bit more later.
Yeah.
But before we go any further, my lovely, we need to know the answer to this question. So, Piers, what does being unstoppable mean to you?
What unstoppable means to me is no matter what's going on in your life, you've got to keep going. No matter what happens. I mean, I, like most people, have been through my fair share of ups and downs in life. One of the worst moments of my life was about 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, and I was with my mother. She'd had a fall. We stood her up and she literally dropped dead in front of me. Now, that could have finished me off, but I kept going. You have to keep going. Otherwise, you just become a victim of everything else. You've got to look up at the sky and just notice how blue it is. Occasionally in England, it's blue, but
sometimes,
sometimes, or how wet the rain is. Sometimes you've actually just got to take yourself, and give yourself a good talking to get you through things.
Absolutely. Amazing. I like that.
So as soon as you become a victim, that's the handbrake.
Yeah.
Come out of victim, free wheel, become unstoppable. Which I love your phrase. I've never really used that before.
It was really annoying actually, because last weekend there was this event in America with this. Well, it was called Become Unstoppable, and I was like, How dare you? But maybe I can get some notoriety on the back of theirs then, because it had people like Oprah Winfrey on it, Tony Robbins on it, a whole heap of other famous people that I probably should know but didn't. But but even so,
I'm glad you have problems keeping up with who's famous and who's not as well.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a mushroom. I live in the dark.
When I hit 48, which obviously wasn't yesterday, but when I hit 48, I had suddenly had a midlife crisis and charged up to London thinking I've got to have a practice in Harley Street or somewhere like that. But I had an office in Sloane Square, so I was known as Sloane Square Hypnotherapy. And I used to get all these lovies coming to see me, and I didn't know who they were.
Oh,
quite famous actors and actresses is coming for help, for assistance, because as soon as you help one, they tell everybody else who their shrink is.
Nice.
And they were coming, and I was going, absolutely fine. Now close your eyes and take a nice deep breath and get my mobile out, going, who the hell are you? It's quite interesting.
The annoying thing about it is you can't even tell anyone, can you? That's the annoying thing.
No. And then I was, when I went to work for a football club, do some mindset stuff with some of the players, quite local to Sloane Square, I used to go in and they go, so Piers, what football team do you support? And I go, well, I'm a rugby player. But that's why they liked me, because I wasn't putting them up on a pedestal.
Yeah.
You've got to treat everybody as a human being.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got the same problems.
And in fact, that's a good point. Actually, the more famous you are, the likelihood is you've got more problems, right? Because you hear about it. Well, even people like George Michael, Whitney Houston, Amy Winehouse, people like that, right? They seem to have it all, didn't they? But actually, they didn't. There was something going on that maybe they didn't feel they were good enough. They didn't feel worthy, whatever. But it was enough for them to completely sabotage their lives and no longer be here, sadly.
What is interesting is if you look at TikTok or some of the other social networks, and you have these so-called influencers, and many of them are multi-millionaires at the age of 15, 16. Their mental health just goes like that.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to do it. They can't be normal. It's if somebody's taken away their childhood.
Yeah, and that's the same for like childhood actors and actresses, isn't it? The one that was in Home Alone.
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, he was one. I think he's okay now, isn't he?
He's fine now. Yeah, he went off piste.
Yeah,
good for him.
Yeah, there's loads of them.
And he's done really well because he's pulled himself back.
Well, then you have that unstoppable story, then, don't you? And then you've got
exactly.
But you become more interesting.
Yeah.
But loads. Anyway,
we digress.
Now we digress, but in a good way. So, as we've established, you are a very successful hypnotherapist, and have worked with many famous people who sadly you can't share with us, which is annoying. However, you haven't always been a hypnotherapist, have you? So what's your story? How did you end up doing and whatever's
basically, I had a property company in London. I've never really been employed by anybody. I spent 2 years, I think, working for an estate agents, and then I thought, well, actually, I can do this myself. So opened up my own estate agent with 2 friends, and it went really, really well until the property crash in the late 89, 90, and the market just dried up. We didn't keep a close enough eye on the cash flow. Big learning lesson. Closed, moved on. And then I started dealing with commodities in Russia and properties all over the world, buying chicken, beef, sugar, butter, you name it. I was trying to get involved with it, wood. And then the moment that changed my life was when, very sadly, the third person I knew committed suicide, which is a total shock to me. You know, he's in his mid-20s, lovely bloke, and he was so fixed on ending his life that he did it.
Wow.
And I'd seen him a couple of days before, and I was actually on my way to Australia via Hong Kong, and I got the call saying he's no longer with us.
Wow,
And that completely changed my life. And I tried to do some property for the next couple of years, but my mind was becoming worse and worse. So my mental state was suffering because I couldn't understand why or how people could get in such a really desperate frame of mind that they want to stop breathing. And
so that impacted your mental health because you had all that spinning around in your head?
Well, if I was with this friend of mine 2 days before I flew, and he said, "Piers, you're so lucky you're getting another chance. You know, the world's your oyster. I'm stuck here." When I arrived in Hong Kong, it was like, shit, he's dead. So I swore, but he's dead. And I did think, if I hadn't have had that beer with him, would he have survived? Would he have done it?
Oh, wow. So you blamed yourself.
So there's a certain amount of self-blame built into that. So I tried to go back and I just couldn't focus. And then one day I found myself signing on to a course at the Cambridge College of Hypnotherapy. And that was the opening of a humongously large rabbit hole. And I just fell in, and I went into courses all over the world and became what I call a course junkie, learning everything there is about anything to do with helping people.
Wow.
I mean, the second course I did was helping ladies give birth without pain, hypnobirthing.
Okay.
Amazing. And halfway through the course, I went, this is not for me, but I'm here and I'll learn. And I learned lots of techniques about pain control and that sort of stuff, but I didn't really want to be involved with that side of it.
No.
So some of the courses I did tick boxes, others didn't. But I
And do
found
you know
myself
Go on.
But I found myself now dealing more and more with teenagers because that's what I'm drawn to. And I think that could be because my friends were teenagers and early 20s when they decided to remove themselves from life.
I mean, that does make sense, doesn't it? Because, I mean, suicide, I think, is the biggest killer in a man anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that sort of age group, I mean, I haven't looked at the statistics lately, but I think it's like late teens, mid-20s, isn't it? Is that the most? Yeah.
I mean, I'm dealing with a wonderful person at the moment, not exactly a teenager, but he's 87.
Oh.
And he's had suicidal thoughts for 50 years.
Oh, love him.
He's the most lovely bloke. You'll meet him and he is the life and soul of the party, but that's front mask.
Yeah.
The rear mask is, the one that really hurts. And he said, "Piers, why didn't I meet you 50 years ago?" And I said, "I was 11. And he said, "I still wish I'd met you 50 years ago."
Oh, funny.
But dealing with teens now is amazing. And, I've just started a little podcast. I've got the first 2 recorded. And I might drag you along as a guest one day.
Oh, love to. Yeah, love to.
That's actually called Life Talks with Piers Day. And that's basically helping parents and teenagers conquer sadness, anxiety, and depression.
Nice.
And that, to me, is what it's all about, is getting communication going. Because when you were younger, if you had a mental health problem, could you turn around and talk to your parents?
I probably could, actually. I don't know that I had any mental health problems that I can remember. I mean, I did and still do have a good relationship with them. So I think I could have done, but I don't know that I ever did. I don't know if I don't recall ever doing that.
Yeah.
But my memories of childhood is not brilliant, but
Any
yeah, but like
parent,
you say, not everyone can do that. But I've got a 24-year-old son, and I've got a 28-year-old son, and I'm very proud of the fact that we have an open relationship. That, you know, one of them's in Australia at the moment, and when I first started my business, he used to help me edit my videos and stuff like that. So he got to see a lot of stuff. And he says to me, like, I'm so pleased that you've taught me what you taught me, because he's out there now. He seemed to be the go-to person that people come to for health and support. And my younger son, he's now an assistant psychologist, literally first month in his job after doing his master's. So there's definitely, you know, something going on in like the household. But yeah, but not everybody has that, do they? And it's about, not everybody has that, you know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs triangle. They don't all have the safety, security of that foundation, do they, to feel safe, secure and loved?
I mean, life was an awful lot easier when I was dealing with property. Yeah, it was easy because I could walk into a house or a building or a site and work out what we could do with it almost in a millisecond. And I found that really good, whether it was doing it for me or whether I was giving people advice or helping them to invest in property. So, right, if you do this and move that wall, you can create this, which is worth more money. And they go, wow, that's brilliant. That to me was really simple, but it wasn't challenging. And it didn't give me the mental reward. It gave me financial reward, yes. But this work I do gives me the mental reward, sadly, not the financial reward.
Financial and abundance, darling, eventually.
Absolutely.
But that's because, though, right? Us healers, are really good at doing everything for everybody else, supporting everybody else. But when it comes to receiving financial gain, thank yous and everything else, there's a little bit of a block there. I'm not so bad at that now because I've done a lot of work on that. And maybe we need to work on you getting your blocks there cleared, right? Because you provide an amazing service, as do I, right? It literally saves lives, literally transforms lives, right? You can't put a value on that. And so many, I'm in a group to so many therapists, and that's what we have to work on, because it's that, because we've spent most of our lives helping everybody else, and then it's like got to ask money for this, but it's about the value that you're providing. And
exactly. I mean, that was slightly tongue in cheek when I said I don't get the.
I know.
I don't get the reward, but to me, I'm not chasing money. I'm chasing helping people, saving lives. I mean, it's lovely. I put this on a while ago onto social media. I got this text from a client, and I live in Suffolk, quite near Ipswich, and over the River Orwell, there's a huge bridge, and it became quite a place to jump off.
Right.
And this person sent me this most lovely message saying, Piers, thank you so much for all your help. I now realise that Orwell Bridge is for driving over, not jumping off. And I just, in here, that was an amazing text to receive. To a lot of other people, Piers, you can't put that on social media. That really shocked me. That horrified me.
You can.
And actually, for me, in a way, it was, wake up and smell the roses. Because we need to actually get all this talked about. And, to the teenagers, whether you're a teenager at 15 or you're a non-teenager at 50, it makes no difference. You've got to find someone. If you can't do it yourself, find someone to help you.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I was talking to a group of parents quite recently, and they said, "But Piers, we don't need anybody to sort. We can sort out our own children." And I said, "Do you make your own shoes?" And they went, "Of course not. I haven't got time." And I said, "Fine. So you outsource it. Do you make your own bread?" Occasionally, but most of the time, it's easy to go to the supermarket and buy it. I said, "Great. You outsource it. Can you help with mental problems, mental health problems with your kids or your cousins or your nephews, nieces, whoever? Not really. Fine. Outsource it. Find someone who can do it better than you.
And I think this is the big problem, right? Obviously, many people, it's the finances of getting that support, but for many it isn't, right? And it's about not putting yourself first, isn't it? And that's what I've created my group program. And it's all about moving people from stress, lack of confidence, inner peace, and clarity. But the core of it is about going back to basics, about putting yourself first. So it's about I'm too busy running around after everybody else. Haven't got time to exercise properly. Haven't got time to eat properly. Haven't got time to be present and to take time out for me and really stop and think. Right. And as a result of that, you get that thought, feeling, behavior pattern going on, don't you? Where then you get that physical reaction to your body. Then maybe that you're putting on weight. Maybe you're drinking too much. Maybe you're doing other, I don't know, drugs or something that's going to just numb that feeling. And I spent 35 years in the corporate world, and it's only been the last couple that I've been out building my business, right? And it's only where I've been doing my therapy work on myself, learning embodiment, that I actually get it now, that the mind body is all connected. It really is. And if we're being unkind to ourselves and not respecting ourselves, then don't be surprised if you're being hit by physical and psychological conditions, because that's just the way it works.
Yes. Yeah. When I deal with people, I don't deal that many because I forward them those inquiries to other people. But IBS is a classic thing. You know, what's your gut reaction to stuff? And, you know, yes, I deal with IBS, but there are people better at it than me. But in return, they send me people because I'm better at other things to them.
Exactly.
The lovely thing about asking for help for like a professional like yourself is if you can't help, you know somebody who can.
Exactly. And in fact, we had this very conversation before we clicked the live button, didn't we?
Yeah.
I said, you do vaping? Because someone's asked me to find it, because I don't. I've tried it. I've done a couple of smoking ones, didn't really work out for me. I've never really been, I smoked a little bit back in the day, but I would say I've never been a proper, so I don't get it. I don't understand it. So it's not my bag. So I'm more than happy to signpost those on.
Thank you. Yeah, but I mean, to me, it's a really interesting thing. You get some therapists and some healers, counselors, whatever you like to call people, you know, people who help. You get some who say, "Oh no, I'm not going to help anybody else and their business. It's all for me." I think that is so wrong.
Me too. And do you know what? I've had many a therapist or people on here that do similar work to me, and people have actually said to me, "Well, God, why have you got them on then? Well, why wouldn't I?"
Yeah.
Right. Not everyone's going to resonate with me. Not everyone's going to resonate with you, right? So there's so many people out there that need help, but they might not like my approach.
Yeah.
They might not like your approach. So, and like you say, there's so many modalities out there that it is better to sort of focus on a smaller dynamic, but it doesn't stop us from helping other people. Like when I work with people that they've normally got lacking in confidence, stress, anxiety, but I've done physical conditions as well, and I love doing them. And I think that's the way my program's going and things like that, I think that's where it's going to go a little bit more, because now I'm getting the whole mind-body connection. But I've done like autoimmune diseases, skin conditions, arthritis. I've got someone to walk again. I mean, don't get me wrong. They obviously had things working that they just needed to get over their head. Someone who had a funny foot that stopped working, because most of it is psychological. So, but getting your head around that is difficult, because we go to the doctors go, "Oh, well, it's probably this, it's probably that." And then we're kind of happy that we've been given a diagnosis, but actually they're looking at it from a scientific point of view. They're looking to solve the symptom, not to look at the root cause.
Yeah.
And that's what we do, isn't it, with the hypnotherapy? It's going back to the root and eradicating it, so that you actually tick off quite a few of the symptoms anyway.
But what's lovely about hypnotherapy is you can bolt lots of other things to it. There's so many avenues, or so many corridors I've gone down my rabbit hole learning, where there are so many different modalities to help people. I mean, what you were talking about, helping people with physical conditions. I've been working quite heavily with the police locally over the years, and they sometimes send me people who have been raped or abused. And what people have to realize is that's happened to them in the past. They do have a future. So we get rid of the circle of pain, the circle of guilt, however you like to call it, and we break it and said, right, it had a start, it had a finish. We're now beyond the finish. We can leave it behind. And there's some great processes, which you've probably got some of your own. I've got some of my own. We take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and we blend to make our own processes. And that's what makes us all individuals.
Yeah.
Around me, I've got some. When I started back in 2000, late 90s, early 2000s, there were 9 therapists around Bury St Edmunds. Just 9. We have a population of 42,000 around Greater Bury. Last time I counted, there were over 300.
Wow.
And you suddenly go, God, the competition is actually really strong. And I don't look at them as competition. I look at other people doing the same job as me in a slightly different way. So you will attract people, I think they call it avatar if you're into sales.
That's right,
you will attract your people. I will attract my type of people. And that's what I love about this. And sometimes, it happened Friday, someone rang me up and they said, I've got this problem, that problem, that problem. And I went, I hear you. I would love to help you, but can I recommend somebody who's 2 villages away? They are better suited to help you. And he went, oh, I wanted to work with you. And I said, here's the deal. Go and have a chat to this other person. If you get a knee-jerk reaction, you don't want to work with them, come back.
Nice.
They specialize in what you're telling me. It is not, I can help you, but it's not one of my specialities. Therefore, you may get better value from them. I haven't heard back yet, so I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes you actually got to take yourself out, and you've got to think of the person on the end of the phone more importantly.
Absolutely. And also, I think it's very true, like you reap what you sow as well, isn't it? Because if you, like you said earlier, if you have that attitude of, well, I'm keeping them all for myself, well, guess what? You're not going to get referred anyone either then, are you? Because the universe is always listening and watching, right? Whether we like it or not, whether it's the universe, God, whatever you want to look at it as, it's always there. It's always watching and listening, and it's always testing us.
Yeah.
And I know this because it's been testing me a lot over the last few months. I think I'm passing them, but I'm not sure. So I've had to really tap into, really go deep into myself really, and use like embodiment techniques to release feelings and emotions, which I never used to be able to do. I didn't know it was a thing, and B, I couldn't do it. When I started doing my therapy training and we were doing meditations or grounding or something like that, I would sit listening to it, and my mind, well, I say listening to it, I wasn't really listening to it because my mind was like, what am I having for dinner? Where am I going next week? Where am I going? And then eventually it would be over. That's how I saw it. Like, oh, thank God for that. Are we finished now? So I can go and do something more useful. I didn't get it. I just didn't get it. And then after Luther died, one of my clients registered a star. I probably bore people telling them this story, but in one of the meditations, they were saying, I want you now to imagine, look up into the sky, find your favorite star. And suddenly I went, oh my God, I've got my own star. I've got my Luther star. And then from that moment, I was able to start connecting. And it was the most bizarre experience for me. And I know when I'm doing it, because I get all this fuzzy feeling, and I normally start sneezing, and then I normally crying and stuff like that. But I was like, oh, this is what they're talking about. And I was so proud of myself. And now I'm building on that. And I know it's available to me now, which I didn't think it was available to me. And that's where I want to help, particularly people from the corporate world, or even busy, business owners, right? Where we're all almost just working with this. And the rest of this is kind of like numb to us, numb to the feelings, numb to the emotions. And I don't mean we can't cry and we don't love and stuff like that, but it's about really recognizing that 95% of us is subconscious mind, and our whole body is our subconscious mind, and we have to listen to our body. And then we have trapped emotions and feelings. And I'm listening to a really amazing audiobook at the moment called Emotion Code, and every time I listen to the next chapter, I'm like, because he's talking about how you probably know this already, but how we can inherit our parents' trapped emotions.
Yeah.
Even if you've never met them, if they were there at the point of conception. So say, for example, you might never even have met your father, but if he had emotional trapped wounds at the point of conception, then you might be holding those. And I'm like, what?
Well, there are so many things that we're beginning to learn now about the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if someone, if one of your business owners, for your type of person, for a teenager, for my type of person, has some form of anxiety, depression, stress in their lives, they go inwards rather than looking outwards.
Mm.
And then they go to, they open up and they say, I need help to a doctor or whoever, which is, a lot of them is admitting defeat. And the doctor, because they've only got, is it 3 minutes per patient? Something like that. Say, right, okay.
If you're lucky enough to have a doctor and get an appointment in the first place.
Here's some pills.
Yeah.
And they go on and they stay on them for years and years and years.
And that just numbs the feelings even more.
Yeah. So my way is, there is another way. And it wasn't until probably 15, 20 years ago, a friend of mine who's a GP rang up and he said, Piers, could you help my son? And I knew the son well. I said, of course I can. Why? What's the problem? He said, he's got depression, but I don't want to medicate him. And I said, no judgment. I said, absolutely fine. Within a month and a half, son was no longer depressed, really happy with life. And we see them, there's no embarrassment, there's no judgment, there's nothing. No. And what was really interesting is the fact that the GP didn't want to medicate his own son.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's medicating other people's children.
So there is another way. And actually, since then, he is one of the few medical people who will say, we can go down this route, or if you want to go down another route, go and talk to Piers.
That's what you want, isn't it? An advocate in your pocket like that.
Yeah.
And it's so true, because there's another book, actually. I think it's Lost Connections. I'll have a look on my audiobook now, so it'll annoy me. But there was this guy, his name's gone right out of my head, so I will find it. He went on a mission, really. He spent his life on antidepressants, and he went around the world. Johan Yahi, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the end of it was that basically we need connection, and that's what a lot of depression is and things like that, isn't it? It's about, we literally have lost connection with the world. So many people are isolated, not going out, maybe stuck in the room, like younger kids as well, like on gaming stuff. And I know they're talking to people in their gaming world, but it's not quite the same, is it? And then they struggle to actually communicate with people in the outside world. Then they suffer from social anxiety. I mean, what would you say is the most common issue, if you like, that goes on with your young teenagers?
A lot of it is social anxiety.
Mm.
And a lot of it is not taking responsibility for their actions. When they're in their make-believe world of, killing people on whatever Xbox, PlayStation they're playing on, when something goes wrong, they go, "Oh no, I've been blown up again. Right, let's play that level again. Let's press that reset button." Life doesn't have a reset button.
No.
And for them, they are not communicating with human beings because it's all AI.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's all these games it's all computer controlled. There's nothing actually, and their world becomes whatever they're seeing. If you take someone who's playing cricket and they don't step up the ball to hit the ball properly, it hits the wicket, consequence, I'm out. Yeah, they soon learn that actually not being your best hurts. Whatever sport it is. And when I was working ages ago with I'm obviously not going to say names, a very, very well-known footballer is all I will say. And
no.
No, and this very famous, famous footballer came to see him and he said, "Piers, I lose concentration when I'm in the strike range. There's something there just holding me back. There's something that's stopping me from giving that last 0.25%. He said, "I've been to see psychologists, counselors, hypnotherapists, you name it." And he said, "I hear you're very good." And I said, "Okay." And I thought, because he's been through the mill and everybody had been trying to make him change, I don't do it with everybody, but I said, "That's what, take that feeling, that 0.25%. I said, "Just close your eyes." And it was very simple. I said, "Just close your eyes. And when have you felt that feeling before?" You'd never been asked that. He was 6 years old. He was in the park with his father and female cousin. And they had 2 jerseys, one pink and one blue from memory. And Dad was in goal. And he shot and Dad saved his goal. Cousin, who's 2 years younger, shot and Dad let it in. "Oh, she's better than you. You're a girl's blouse."
Love that. Well,
And
not the story.
that took 5 minutes.
Mm.
And the next match, he sent me a message afterwards, and he said, "I'm annoyed with you." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "I didn't get a hat trick, but I got 2 goals." And I thought that was so nice because it had gone.
Yeah.
It took 5-10 minutes. I mean, it was so quick.
I mean, he did well to allow himself, didn't he, to go back and be hypnotized. I presume you hypnotized him as opposed to just asking him questions.
I said, "Close your eyes."
Oh, and that was it. Okay.
That was it. I didn't do any of these big, big. I didn't need to. He was a really willing person who wanted to make that change.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Do you find, like, a lot of people, I try to avoid saying I'm a hypnotherapist until I kind of got them in my world, really, because everyone freaks out, don't they? Like,
yeah,
"Oh, you're going to turn me into a chicken," and how do you get around that? I suppose how do you get around that?
I just do.
Maybe you just come across as very confident then, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, I just do. Some people will, "Oh, I think that's disgusting. You're looking into my soul." I mean, I went to this lovely, lovely, big formal dinner up in London. I was sitting next door to a priest. And, as soon as he heard what I did, he said, that's devil worship. And so he turned one way, I turned the other. I wasn't going to get into an argument with him. Yeah. But yes, I have stopped a priest from smoking. Not that one, but I have stopped another one from smoking. So everybody's got their own take on it.
Yeah.
And as soon as you say you are a hypnotherapist or a therapist of anyone, sort of, oh yes, I went to a show once, or my mother had that, or I had that, but it didn't work, and people automatically want to start talking.
Yeah, want to be negative about it, don't they? And I suppose I don't have it very often, but sometimes when you're doing initial call with someone, and they're trying to want to find out, like, well, what if it doesn't work for me? Has it ever? And I go, the only people it won't work for are people who don't believe in it. And now I'm much more confident in myself. When if I've got anyone like that on a call, and I go, look, it's not my job to convince you. If you want to come and work with me, I'd love to work with you, but I'm not going to convince you, because if I can't convince you, then it's not going to work. And that's no good for you, and it's no good for me. So
it's like the only people I will work with for weight control are people, and I say to them, I will only work with you if you are prepared to crawl over broken glass for my help. And they said, what do you mean? And I said, you have to be 100% committed, because I am just here to help. You are the one doing the work.
Yes.
And what a lot of people do, they go, here are my problems, sort them out.
Yeah. I was, it just reminded me, I was talking to someone the other day, I think it was at a networking group or something, and they were saying, she was quite young, bless her. She had been to see a life coach, and she said, I got there and they just kept asking me questions, and I thought they was just going to tell me how I was going to transform my life. And she was laughing, because obviously she now knows that's not the case, and she got really good results from it, and she's glad she went. But we were just laughing. I go, well, that's the thing. They come with their suitcase of problems and expect miracles, but it doesn't work like that, does it? We are literally there to help and facilitate, but they have to do the work. And I should imagine you asked the same question. It's like, what, out of 1 to 10, how committed are you to this? And if I get anyone that's less than a 9, I'm like, why are you not a 10? Because if they go, I'm about a 6, well, maybe come back in a few weeks then when you're a 10 then, because if they can't even commit to their commitment, and it's just a waste of time, isn't it?
But some people automatically become the ideal person. Years ago, do you remember when someone was stabbed? People were stabbed on one of the London Bridge a few years ago, and I happened to be on a marketing course around the corner, and I'd come out of Tower Bridge station, got across the bridge, and went down to the road below to go to where the course was. And hiding like this underneath the bridge was a very, very nice young girl. And people were walking past, and she was just sobbing. And I stopped, said, are you okay? She said, I can't move. I'm so frightened. I went, okay, you're so frightened of? He said, well, I might get stabbed. Because all round, all over the bridges, everywhere, there were police, there was cordons, there were horses. It was like a military zone, and she got frightened by it. And I must say, as I was walking through it, I thought, there are far too many people with their hands on their guns for my taste. And I just said, right, I'm a hypnotherapist. Do you want some help? And she said, that would be lovely, thank you. And within, I think, 11 minutes, she was skipping across the bridge going to work. Because I could just remove that fear. And the most annoying thing for me about that whole thing, because I love doing it, she didn't know who I was. I didn't know who she was. So I have no follow-up to what happened afterwards.
Well, who knows? That lady might be watching this. Who knows?
If you are, please
that
get
would
in
be
touch.
funny.
I would love to know, because that was just one of these instant things. It just seemed the right thing to do.
Oh. Now, my lovely, I could speak to you all day long, but
Can I tell
sadly,
you one quick
go on in.
One quick funny. I climbed on an aeroplane. And the good thing about being a therapist, climbed on an aeroplane, and the woman next door to me was. I thought, oh god! And I was flying to LA, and I thought, here we go. This is going to be a really horrible flight, because she was like this the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm a hypnotherapist. Would you like some help? Yes, please. So I said, close your eyes. And we did some fear of flying. Took 10, 15 minutes. And they said, and as you sit there with your eyes closed, you're going to go, the more you hear the engine noises, the deeper you're going to relax. The deeper you're going to relax, blah, 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 blah. And you'll wake up when it's time to land. She slept the whole flight. I was left completely in peace. It was lovely. But sorry, you were saying. To me, being a therapist does have its advantages.
It does. I was just saying we need to wrap it up now. I think maybe we should do this again soon, because maybe we should have our own little series. But before we go, though, do you want to just tell everybody how they can find you and what you've got coming up soon?
What I got coming up, I'm just releasing, literally, I'm recording them at the moment, some podcasts, and they're called Life Talks with Piers Day. My website address is on the screen just there somewhere, www.piersday.com. You can also find me at suffolkhypnotherapy.com, or sorry, .co.uk, but most people go to the Piers Day. If you want to stop smoking, the ink is drying on the press, so to speak, of icanstopyousmoking.com. But yeah, I'm a very, very easy person to find.
Well, it is handy when you are all about your name, aren't you? So it makes it a lot easier, unlike me.
Yeah.
Who actually, I'm actually under two names in my world, Smith and Fitzpatrick. So that makes it even more complicated. But anyway, so likewise for me, I work with my clients on a one-to-one basis, and as a group training program that I've created called Your Breakthrough from Stress and Lack of Confidence to Inner Peace and Clarity. So if you're interested in coming to work with either of us, please come and find us. Put any questions that you might have in the comments on whatever social media that you're watching this on, and we'll do our best to come back to you. We really hope that you've enjoyed this, and hopefully we've given you some good value there. And if we'd love to see you again on the next session. This will go out on my live on my social medias anyway, but it will also sit on my Millerside Therapy and Coaching YouTube channel. So pop yourself over there, go and like and subscribe, where you'll find all my other interviews, client testimonials, and client interviews as well. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on my next edition of Become Unstoppable. See you soon.
Bye.